interesting story being written out of the Chicago Times that says that Jimmy Butler will go down as the team's worst mistake ever. And it's true. Being as a person who has grown up watching the game and grew up as a Chicago Bulls fan because of Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the real 23 and GOAT. But I grew up watching this team, so it just hurts my soul when I see all the just hilariously bad management decisions that's happened over the years. Guard Pax, the Gar Pax connection, Gar Foreman and John Paxson, they were horrifically bad management. They were horrifically bad. They're the reason why Jimmy Butler is no longer in Chicago because they don't know how to do their effing jobs. So they're gone, and Jimmy, since he's left Chicago, has brought 3 teams to the postseason, and he's brought in the Miami Heat to 2, not 1, 2 NBA Finals. So to say that he wasn't listened to is an understatement. The man just flat out wasn't being heard when he was in the building for Chicago, Minnesota, and Philadelphia. Because don't forget, Philadelphia had him as well and chose to go in the direction of Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. Wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. And that management isn't no longer there anymore. So what this story said, I want to read the subtitle. Subtitle says, while the old regime did its best to control the narrative of why sending Butler to Minnesota for a package that ended up being Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, and Chris Dunn was necessary, it's now easy to see what really happened. So put that in perspective. They traded Jimmy Butler in a package that included those guys, right? They don't even have those guys anymore, aside from LaVine, who isn't the same player as Jimmy Butler. Let's be clear. He's not Jimmy Butler. He's a Robin, which is okay, but now you have to pair someone with him because he's a number 2 guy. He's not a number 1. Jimmy was a number 1 all along. And I was hyping that then with the Chicago Bulls, and they made the mistake of just trading him. When they traded him, it was probably one of the darkest days of my fandom. I don't even really root for the team anymore. Since he was traded, I stopped rooting for the team. I quietly watch them now instead of rooting for them. Sad state of affairs, but that's just what it is. When you run an organization to the ground like they have, or just have complete ineptitude when it comes to decision making, it's no longer fun to watch as a fan, and especially as a longtime fan as myself. So the article said a lot of things. The article went on to just talk about the dog that Jimmy is, how Jimmy is one of the most misunderstood players in the league, because a lot of those teams who had him previously didn't understand what they had. It clearly they are definitely suffering from their lack of vision. So, great article. It's written by the Chicago Sun-Times. It's really quick, but it just details how bad the Chicago Bulls put themselves in a situation because they had a franchise-altering player right under their thumb. They drafted him, for God's sakes, and they let him go. So, shout out to Jimmy Butler. He's definitely, in my opinion, the worst mistake the Chicago Bulls ever made because we're still recovering from it. Hell, we've only won 1 playoff game since we traded Jimmy Butler. Sounds pathetic, because it is pathetic.